All right, everybody, welcome back to another bourbon show. Um, this is episode number 6, I believe, and things are going swimmingly. We hope you guys are enjoying it as well. As usual, I'm Dan Schmidt, joined by my good buddies Steven and Ryan. You guys want to say hello?
How's it going?
Hello, hello.
So damn friendly. Just the epitome of friendliness. But tonight we are going to be drinking this one right here, Smoke Wagon Small Batch. This is a newer bourbon on the market. It's only been around for a couple years now. This is, I believe, the first one we're going to be drinking that has zero association with Kentucky in any way, shape, or form. Smoke Wagon is out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Nevada H&C Distillery. They get most of their product. It really comes from Indiana for the most part, from MGP. For you guys that are familiar in the bourbon world, that's a huge producer of bourbon and whiskey. But they sourced out of there for a while. They are starting to run their own batches now, though. But what we're drinking tonight does come from the Indiana distillery. It's a very high rye bourbon right here. We don't know the exact mash bill, but we do know it's high rye. And if you've tasted it, you'll know that it's a high rye. So I got to ask, Steven, what do you think of the bottle? What do you think of the label?
Well, I guess bottle first, which I don't rate, but the bottle I don't love overall. I mean, it's kind of cool, the little like coin or whatever at the top.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm just not a fan of these tall, skinny bottles. I don't want to drink anything that looks like me, ultimately. So I don't like the whole aesthetic of this. I don't like the label being lower.
Okay.
Yeah, the off-center label, I don't love it. I don't love the text. This is one of those labels I talked about last time on the episode with Rob about how sometimes there's too much text.
Yeah.
I feel like there's different size text, a lot of text all over the place, and what's overall a small label.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the worst labels so far. I gotta say, this is a 2 out of 10. Again, if I was ranking the bottle itself, it would probably be a little bit higher, a little more distinctive, and everything.
Yeah.
But I think I like Blanton's above this, and I give this guy a 2 out of 10. Take that,
Wow.
Smoke Wagon.
That's harsh.
Did you give Blanton's like a 4?
3.
He gave it
3?
a 3.
And I think because I did like how they made use of it wrapping around, since it was like this super round
This
bottle.
one wraps around.
Yeah, but it's not. I don't give a shit. I was gonna try to justify it.
Okay. Well, when my wife saw this bottle, she actually talked about how cool she thought it looked. So, Ryan, I think you're off on this one. I personally I think it's great for what it is, right? For coming from Nevada, being Old West. I like the dual pistols up there. They got dual pistols right there.
If I was grading that, it would be a little bit higher, like I said.
Well, I think your system is fucked up, Stephen. That's what I'm trying to point out here.
It's a fucked system.
This is bullshit, Stephen. You got to show some love to Smoke Wagon. I will say that I don't know if I mentioned it earlier or not, but this really is one of my very favorite newer bourbons that's on the market. I'm a big fan. The first time I had a pour out of this bottle, I was just like, wow, that is really, really good. And so neither of you two have ever tasted it. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So I am super excited to hear what you guys had to say about it. I got this bottle for $50 or $55, somewhere in there. Probably 4 months ago. You can't see it because it's such a dark bottle, but this bottle is down to here. I got it for $50 or $55 at the same store I typically get my stuff from. which is they got the 3 locations, one in Glen Carbon, one in Maryville, Illinois, and one in Lebanon, Illinois. It is very hard to come by anymore. 4 months ago, it was, honest to God, pretty easy to get. But over these last 4-6 months, it has been really, really hard to come by. So if you like what we have to say about it and you see it, you may want to grab it. They also offer a straight bourbon that's not the small batch. That's a little bit easier to find. And then they've got some much higher end, much harder to find bottles. As usual, Stephen got his from me. Ryan, do you remember where you picked yours up and how much it cost?
Yeah, hard bottle to find, like you say. Like you said, especially in Chicago. My go-to place, and it's hard to find somewhere. Whether it's a bourbon or just a rare whiskey, is Benny's. Just their website's pretty approachable, and you could search, and they have probably 25, 30 stores in the Chicagoland area, and it'll say how many bottles they have in each store. So I bought this in Willowbrook, Illinois, which is a suburb kind of near like Naperville, and I paid $58 and change, I believe.
Okay.
So it was $54.99, and after taxes, it came out to just $60 or so.
Yeah.
Right under.
Hey, does Benny's give you an option to buy online and then just pick it up?
Yeah, so that's actually what I did with this.
Oh, cool.
Because their stock on it said limited stock, please call.
Yeah.
And then you sent me the link for it, and I just ordered it. I'm like, we'll see what happens. Who knows? So I ordered it. I went into the store kind of expecting them being like, we don't have any of this. Why didn't you call? But I went to customer service. I gave them my name, paid for it, and then they brought it out.
Oh, okay. So it's not like you even pay in advance. You basically just reserve it.
Yeah, it's basically like a reserve. They don't charge your card until you get there and show your ID.
Okay.
But it was pretty cool process. If you see a harder bourbon to grab like that, it might not be a bad move going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't have any
November.
We don't have any Bennies down here in the Metro St. Louis area. We've got a couple Total Wines, of course. We got one on the east side and then 3 or 4 on the west side over in St. Louis proper, or St. Louis and St. Charles proper. But we do have a Friar Tuck's in the area. I'm not a big fan of Friar Tuck's though. They're this massive store chain, and they, in my opinion, overcharge on like a good majority of their bottles. Ryan, Steven, do you go to Total Wine, or what's your normal store over there in St. Charles area?
It depends on what I'm looking for. Usually, since I'm looking for like budget stuff, I'll just pick it up from the grocery store, that I'm at and whatnot. So just like Schnucks or something like that is usually where I pick up Deerbirds, whatever it might be. And then, but I have been to Total Wine several times, and that's why I was telling you I know where that's at, and it's not too far from me. So I think that's a pretty good. I mean, it's whenever you go into a place that's like designated for liquor, then you're like, oh man, there's a whole world out there. But otherwise, if you're just looking for budget stuff, grocery store is fun.
Yeah. Well, so I don't know if people are going to be watching this from, outside of Missouri, Illinois, etc. Some states, they hear that we have liquor, like good liquor, in grocery stores, and it like shocks them because that is not something that is nationwide. So if you're listening from outside of the Missouri, Illinois area, please understand that like grocery stores have huge liquor selections in this area, and you can pick up Michter's and Buffalo Trace products, like all Sazerac products. If you're there at the right time, you can grab a Blanton's. You're not going to see something like this at a grocery store. It's got to be a more major brand, but you can get like Angel's Envy. That's something you'll find at liquor stores. Or I'm sorry,
the section at the Dearborn's by me is just massive.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's huge. It's a whole section of the store, and it's like right in the middle of the store. You can't miss it. They obviously like put a lot of like, importance on that section. And if you're looking for any of the typical stuff that's in there, and I was really surprised when you said like early on, before this podcast, one of my go-to whiskeys was always Buffalo Trace, And then Dan, you were talking about how difficult that was to find. I was like, there's always just like a whole row of it at these places. So I was shocked to hear that.
Yeah, really, I mean, a lot of times so there's a huge difference between Illinois and Missouri. There are things that on this side of the river we have in abundance, but are extremely hard to find over on the Missouri side. I got a text from a buddy earlier today asking if I thought if he came over to this side, if he'd be able to find any Willet pot still or Willet rye. And I was like, oh my God, you can walk into any place and grab 5 bottles of it, either one of them on the Illinois side. But if you're on the Missouri side,
want that one?
Yep, yeah, that's the pot still. But he was looking for the pot still and the rye, and I said, yeah, you can walk into any liquor store, and I guarantee you can buy 5 bottles of both of them. And he was like, I haven't seen either one of those bottles in Missouri in months. So, yeah, just different states, different rules. But
I'm not a big fan of that Willet. He should try to find something else.
I agree. Honestly, their rye is pretty good, but that pot still is. I heard somebody describe it as a really good beginner bourbon. Like, there's no complexity to it.
It's a cool bottle. That's pretty much what it is.
I know more people that use those as infinity bottles than any other bottle. If so, an infinity bottle, Stephen, or people new to bourbon, when you've got just a little bit left of a bottle, like not even a full pour, you just dump it into an infinity bottle, and so it's just this mix of all of the backwash from 10 different bottles, and you drink that. That's what an infinity bottle is, but that's a very common one because it is such a cool looking bottle. So anyway,
I do like it. That's why I bought it. You know, I was like, hey, that looks awesome, and it
I
does sell
thought that
pretty
was
well.
Bong up there you had.
Did you? No.
You could turn that into a very cool bong, to be honest with you. Well, what do you say? You want to take a drink?
Yeah, let's do it. Cheers, guys.
All right, cheers. Tell me what you think of the smell of it first.
Spicy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that rye.
See,
yeah.
I smell a lot of bread. A lot of bread to it.
Really?
Yeah, I smell just like opening up like a loaf of bread. I do smell spice too, don't get me wrong. But
yeah. God, I love that stuff. I don't want to share the flavors I pick up. I want to hear from you guys because you're brand new to this bottle.
A little pepper and cinnamon. That's what I get mainly. I mean, I just had my first sip, so I'll have to have a couple more, but I definitely get that, cinnamon, brown sugar type.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can
off the
see the
bat.
brown sugar.
To me, it's like sucking on a like a Red Hot, right? Like the candies, little sweetness to it, but a lot of cinnamon, like a spicy cinnamon. To me, but a little bit of sugar sweetness to like round it out, if you will.
Very spicy on the finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like this quite a bit.
So it's a 100 proof bourbon. It's not bottled in bond, but they do bottle it at 100 proof. And I feel like it packs a punch as if it's got a stronger proof than 100, right? Like to me, like the hug that it gives me afterwards, hug is like the heat, the burn that it gives you. That's referred to as a Kentucky hug. But to me, the hug that it gives you in that spicy finish, to me, it feels like it's got a higher proof than 100.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying it with the ice right now just because my ice, I'm about to lose it. So I'm going to go ahead and try that as well.
Yeah, I'll switch over to. I'll give her. Put my ice in and give her a sip. So we are. Well, I'm going to be drinking it neat, which I just had with ice, and then with 5 little drops of water in a 2-ounce pour.
With ice, it is insanely smooth.
Yep. So the last couple weeks, matter of fact, just last week, I mentioned that you said something, Stephen, about how you everything so far you've liked best neat.
Yep.
And I said some of the ones coming up, you're gonna change that because water or ice brings out specific flavors out of them. This is one that I suspected that was going to happen with. I love drinking it neat. I love drinking it with 5 drops of water, and I love drinking it with ice. All 3 ways, to me, it's a fabulous, really, really solid bourbon.
That's a great bourbon. That's a great bourbon, then.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and try it with water too, then. Yeah, I mean, also with water, it's just insanely smooth. I did not put much water in this either, but it's strange how strong of an effect it has in this. You know, I feel like there's some whiskey that we've had where I feel like it could be like a 50-50 split with the water, and it wouldn't even make a difference. If you just use 1 drop or half of it, it'd be about the same. But with this, it's like 3 drops of water in there, and it just becomes like so smooth.
Yeah. Ryan, which ways have you tried it so far?
All 3.
Okay.
I think with ice is my favorite.
With ices?
It's smooth. I usually don't like putting anything in my bourbon. I usually just drink it straight, let it kick me in the face.
Yeah.
The water was just so to me. I'd rather drink it. If I wasn't drinking it, I'd just drink it straight up. I don't know. There was a note that tasted a little when I put the water in that didn't really resonate with me. But on the rocks, it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah. I could just chug this.
Oh, I feel the exact same way.
Yeah.
I bought it. I brought it home. I had heard a couple people talking about how much they liked it, and I was like, well, I mean, I found it in this store. Let's give it a try. I love trying new bourbon and whiskey, and brought it home that night and popped the cork, let it sit out for a little bit, just breathe, because that's what I always do. And I tried it like that first night neat, and I was just like, holy crap. Like I was blown away, surprised at how good I thought it was neat. So then that next night I was like, well, now I want to do, try it with some water and some ice. And I was just like, man, you can't go wrong with it. And I immediately started talking to people, just saying, look, if you have not tried it yet, you need to. It is so good in every possible way. And I've also used it in Manhattans. The high rye really complements a Manhattan well. I've used it in an old fashioned, and it's phenomenal in an old fashioned. I have never tried it in a whiskey sour or whiskey Coke, because I just don't think it would be good in either of those. So I've never tried them that way. I've never tried it in a Gold Rush but anyway.
A couple of years ago, before I knew even less than I know now about whiskey, one of my go-tos was a Bullet Rye. So when you're talking about this being a high rye, where does that fit in relation to something like a Bullet Rye, for instance?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. So if it's labeled as a rye whiskey, that means that rye is the predominant grain. That means that it has to be at least 51% rye.
Okay.
This is a bourbon, so it's at least 50% corn. If I had to guess, I would say it's in the 20 to 30% rye area. So probably 60 to 70% corn, 20 to 30% rye, and then the remaining is barley. But yeah,
Well, it's
so
funny you say that, Steven, too, because I'm pretty sure Bullet got their grain and everything from MGP too,
correct.
as well.
Yep. MGB, Bullet may still.
I don't think they are. I don't think they are anymore. I don't sell it, but
Yeah.
I feel like they used to, because I remember the rye bottle specifically saying it was made in Indiana and the bourbon was made in Kentucky.
Mhm.
So, I mean, semantics probably. It's funky. Who really knows?
Well, so like MGP is great. So many different whiskey and bourbons get sourced out of MGP whenever they first get started, because MGP just distills so much from so many different mash bills, and like it's a huge facility. So a lot of times Michter's is an example. I talked last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, about how much I love Michter's. Michter's sourced completely out of MGP for quite a few years. They've been distilling and barreling at their Fort Nelson location for a while now. So that's actually coming out of Fort Nelson. But initially, they went to MGP and said, okay, we're going to start our own bourbon company. We want to like try these different mash bills. We're going to try them and we're going to source out of you. But when we find the mash bill we like, we're going to start using that mash bill. But we want to take all these samples from you first, because they have so much available. They've got barrels at MGP that are probably, I mean, some of them are probably closing in on 25 years. They've been sitting there in a barrel just waiting for somebody to buy them. Huge facility. So some people look down on bourbon or whiskey being sourced, and they, in my opinion, that's silly. To me, it's ridiculous. But when Ryan's right, when you had Bullet, there's no question it was getting sourced out of MGP, and MGP's rye is like renowned for how good it is.
Templeton Rye, another one that sourced out of there. Now I think they're starting to do their own. But that's what they're known for, the rye.
Yep.
I always thought that was a good budget bourbon. I always like
Bullet. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In this area, if I'm just at not a whiskey bar, that's my go-to for a pour when I'm at a bar, because they're gonna have it. It's worth, it's $6 or so for a whiskey neat or whatever. Yeah, so that's typically my go-to at a bar in this area if they don't have higher end stuff.
And it's constantly on sale around here too. Like talking about grocery stores earlier, like if you're just going through the grocery store, you pass through the liquor aisle, there's a good chance you're going to see it on sale every couple of weeks. And and it gets even, a budget option becomes even more of a budget option during those times. So
Yep.
But this is about Smoke Wagon. I'll stop talking about Bullet now.
Both MGP though.
Yeah.
So it's similar.
Giving some love to MGP. Hey, if this just happens to be the first episode you stumbled across us, Steven is newer to bourbon and whiskey. He's been drinking it for a long time, but he's not like very knowledgeable about it. You may have picked up on this earlier, but Ryan works for a distributor up in the Chicagoland area. And I run a bourbon website, and I'm an alcoholic. So that's the little realm that the three of us fit into for the show. And we've been best friends for years and years and years. So Ryan, you bought a house.
I did. Well, it's contingent still.
Yeah.
So I think by Friday it'll be official, or Monday. But viewed a house a couple days ago, put an offer in the same day, and got it the next day.
And August has been a hot fucking month for you, man.
It's been nuts. I was talking to my realtor too. I'm like, it's not this easy usually, is it? Because what's going on right now with houses, I'm sure you've seen, like, I mean, everything's asking price or over.
Yeah.
It's a crazy market right now. So I put an offer in, and I was the only one to put the offer in over the weekend. It was only on the market for like 3 days, 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
The lady who's selling it is moving out to Iowa. I guess she got a teaching job at some university out there, so she needed to get out of town quick. I put it in $5,000 under asking, and they didn't get another offer by their like 5 p.m. Sunday deadline. So all right, well, we'll sell to Ryan. They didn't even come back at like 293 or anything. They're just like, yeah, 290. We need to get the fuck out of here.
Nice.
So got pretty lucky.
Does it have a bar?
No, I'll have to put that in.
Okay, it will.
But that's not good. That's not going to be an issue down the line. Yeah, I got to figure that out. Like if filming and everything, if I'll just like come here and continue filming, you know what I mean?
You're gonna have internet
But I don't know.
at that place, aren't you?
Drinking. We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
What is this?
No TVs, no internet.
I know this is
We got it
horrible, but what's the movie with Will Smith?
iRobot.
No.
7 pounds.
Huh?
7 pounds.
No, the other shitty movie he did.
Pursuit of Happiness.
Y'all are.
Men in Black 2.
All of those probably
Men
have.
in Black 1.
But where he's like,
I Am Legend.
he's getting chased by the NSA,
I Am Legend.
Oh.
and he,
Shit. That's gonna bug me.
and he like doesn't like he gets in with Gene Hackman, and Gene
Hackman's
Hackman
in it. Yeah.
doesn't want internet because internet is horrible.
What is the name of that movie? Enemy of the State?
Yes, there you go. What the fuck, Steven? You're like the movie geek.
What a deep cut Enemy of State is.
Is it that deep?
If you're talking Will Smith movies, that's on like page 6 at least.
You got
really?
Independence Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got Hancock.
After Earth, the movie he made
Before
that
Earth.
was just like what's his son's name?
Jaden.
Yeah, it was just like a Jaden Smith like vehicle. After Earth.
He had some
And
really
when he the
shitty.
Karate Kid too.
Yeah, he was a Karate Kid.
His kid
Well, he was
sucks,
also
man.
in
I hate
7
that
pounds,
kid.
but he was good in 7 pounds.
What is
I
7
hate
pounds?
that kid.
Or wait, was that 7 pounds? I think so.
Or is it The Pursuit of Happiness?
I think you're right. I think it was what?
I've never
honestly,
seen
I don't know.
either of them.
I can't remember
Aren't
which
they
one
the-
it was.
Either of them.
They're pretty much the same movie with different names.
Yeah. And there was one that came out recently that was really odd. Anyway, I can't remember what it was, but
Hutch?
no, it's not that one, but it was like a romantic comedy. There's a really bad romantic comedy from like 2 years ago that Will Smith was in, but I can't remember the name of it now. I'll look it up later. I'll put it right down here so people can look it up. God,
Nobody gives a shit. You didn't. Okay, the other day you didn't even link my citation that George Washington actually purchased a shitload of bourbon from Michter's. You
Yeah,
asked for a
because you
citation.
linked to Michter's website.
No, and then I linked to Pennsylvania State University. You dick.
All right. Well, anyway, the Will Smith video will be right here.
Is that the same college as Penn State?
What?
Is that the same college as Penn State?
You dumb motherfucker. Yes.
Just joking.
Dan's got a pen name. He's making these citations on a different website.
I went into the Penn State Library and I just created one. Okay, I'm sorry. It's how I do things.
Safer than the locker room.
Probably.
I think once an episode we've had a Penn State molestation joke.
Last episode, it was actually me that made it. I made this. Rob said something about blowing it in the fourth quarter, and I said, "Yeah, but we take care of the showers after lunch or something like that."
Yeah,
You
I
know,
remember that.
that there was a moment during that podcast where I should have, like, I realized afterwards I should have said something because when Rob was talking about how he came up with the chess club, he said something about how he was playing chess with kids, and then you said, "Oh, what's more natural than playing with kids?" And I was like, "At Penn State, not much."
I know. When I watched the recording, I was just like, "Oh man, that's pretty bad." I mean, mean, I think it's a little bit early in the episode, I think, to rate it, but I do have to ask, like, with just the way things are going, I feel comfortable. Ryan, how do you rate this?
I like it a lot. With it being a higher just rye mash bill, it's automatically not going to be my favorite. I'd probably rate it a 7 though. It's really good.
Okay.
I like it a lot.
Okay. So between this and the Blanton's, which do you like? Because Blanton's is high rye too.
Well, he rated Blanton's higher than this. If he's
I rated that
7.0.
7.4. Yeah, I find the Blanton's just a little smoother.
Okay.
To my taste, but this is still really. I mean, this is the first time I ever had it. I feel like this might be one where I drink more and more and like it more as I drink it. It's definitely on the rocks. It's way better than Blanton's.
Mm-hmm.
Straight up though, I feel like the nod goes to Blanton's.
Okay. Fair enough. Steven, what do you think?
Yeah, I actually think that I pretty much agree with what Brian said, but I'm gonna rank it how I like it best. For each of these whiskeys, I've always rated them so far how I liked them best.
Yeah.
So I didn't rate Blanton's with on the rocks or with water, right? So this one, I do agree that I like it best on the rocks. But I think that kind of like what I said with when I rated Fighting Cock, the fact that this is a more versatile whiskey that I could see myself having in a number of ways. When I first took a sip of this neat, I thought this would be a great winter whiskey, because I felt like warm immediately. I liked all the flavors that I was hitting. It felt very seasonal in that way. But as soon as I had it on the rocks, I was like, this would be a great summer whiskey. And then, slowly became, well, it's not seasonal whiskey at all. You just have it year round, right? Which is great. So I think that I like it as much as Blanton's, but because it's more versatile, and I liked it in more ways, I've got to give it an extra little nod. So I'm going to give it a 7.7 and bump it just past what I gave, just past Blanton's, just because of, I really appreciate all the things you can do with it. And Dan, I want to hear your rating, but after you give it a rating, I'm really curious why you were so curious what Ryan and I would think of it. Why did you think maybe we wouldn't like it or something?
Okay, so I'm going to rate it as a 7.6. I don't remember what I've rated other bourbons. Like, that's not something, like, I just go with how I'm feeling at that moment, right? Because the truth of the matter is I'm a big believer in the fact that you can have the exact same pour 3 different nights, depending on your mood, the situation, who you're with. It could be a completely different rating from one night to the other. I truly, truly believe that. And I think that anybody that says, no, a 7.7 is always a 7.7, no, you're full of shit. Depends on your mood, what you've been eating. So many things affect how good a particular whiskey feels that particular night. So that's how I'm going to go with this one. The reason why I was so curious to know what you guys would think about it is because it is so different than the other bourbons we've tried so far on the show. And this is, I would say, a Blanton's is not a beginner's bourbon, but everything else we've drank is a good beginner's bourbon, right? Like, it's got those flavor notes and the smoothness that brings people in, even if you're not, like, even if you're new to bourbon and whiskey. They're so smooth. There's there's a lot of positives to it. Whereas this one, I feel, could be a hit or miss bourbon. I could see somebody saying, I don't like that cinnamon. I don't like that spiciness to it. And I wasn't sure how you guys would feel about it. Specifically because I could see it being a very hit or miss bourbon. I'm excited. I'm actually really, really, really happy that you guys like it as much as you do, because to me, like I said from the very beginning of the show, it's one of my very favorite new on the scene bourbons. So does that answer your question, Stephen?
Yeah.
Okay. My favorite way to drink it is actually neat. I very much appreciate it with water, with ice, but I do like that really cinnamon flavor when you're drinking it neat. That's me.
I was kind of blown away by it on the rocks. I didn't think it'd be as good as it was. Just smooth.
Yeah. I like it is extremely smooth on the rocks. But like that cinnamon, like the coating of cinnamon down your throat when you drink it neat, I just really appreciate it. And it elongates the finish. Like the flavor stays in your mouth so much longer when you drink it neat than when you drink it with ice. I will never say no to it on the rocks or with water, though. I think it's a super versatile, like really, really, really well done Nevada H&C. That's what I got to say. So there you have it.
Yeah, I don't know much about this company at all either, this distiller. You said they're pretty new, though?
Yeah, they are. I don't remember. I like, don't put me on the spot with a year. But they're an up and comer for sure. Like, I don't know that a year and a half ago you could have found this anywhere in Illinois. Maybe it was available in Nevada. Maybe it was available in California. I don't know. But a year ago, I'm pretty confident you couldn't have found it in Illinois or Missouri.
If I would have looked for it a little harder in Nevada, I probably could have found it, but I went to 2 places and I didn't see it.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like checking a bag either, so I was like, you know what? I'll find it in Illinois somewhere. It's got to be somewhere.
It wasn't at the
Glad I
Reno
did.
strip clubs you went to?
No,
Oh, okay.
no.
Hey, did you see any toothless hookers? Did you
I was
see
only
any
there
hookers? Actually,
in Reno.
yeah.
No, we actually got stuck on the runway flying out for like 3 hours in Dallas. So when we landed out there, it was pretty close to midnight. So we just got back to the room. We stayed at the Peppermill Casino, which is a nice casino, and then ordered room service and went to bed. I mean, for the circumstances. I mean, I drove past on the shuttle there, like, oh, that looks a little dangerous. But outside of Reno, it's beautiful. Like the suburbs around Reno.
Yeah.
It's great. Just when you get to downtown, it's a little. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think that's the best. That's the best way to put Reno.
It's like if Vegas never commercialized. I feel like.
Yeah.
You know. Like if the mob just stayed, if they didn't have to sell everything. I mean, that's like probably what Vegas was 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm
it's
trying
just
to think
corporate.
trying to think of a bit that Reno 911 didn't already do better.
Man, I love that show.
Yeah, that. They're really good. All right, so welcome back, everybody. It's been like 40 minutes.
Stephen is earning his free liquor on this episode.
Yeah.
Because he is going to have one hell of a time editing this. There's probably, like, you don't probably care about anything we're going to fucking talk about anyway. But you really wouldn't have cared about us talking about It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Christopher Guest movies,
Reno 911.
Reno 911, and probably 10 minutes trying to figure out which goddamn Will Smith movie I was talking about.
Yeah.
So, you really wouldn't have given a shit about any of that, way less than you care about what we're talking about.
If they did care about that stuff, they probably left when I put that link down there for the Will Smith movie that I mentioned earlier, because they were like, oh, finally, I got another Will Smith movie recommendation.
Speaking of Will Smith movies, I'm just kidding.
No, you motherfucker. All right, folks. Look, if you made it through this episode, you are a goddamn trooper. We had a blast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, give us.
What does Collateral Beauty mean to each of you?
This has been the most impactful film on me as a human being that I've ever worked on.
Nobody gives a shit.